This is Wednesday, August 26th, reading Station 2. Hey boys and girls, this is Station 1 reading. In this station, I'm going to read this story and I'll stop a couple times so that I can ask you some questions and talk about what's going on. Okay, I really hope you enjoy this story. It's great. Hooray for Wadney Wat by Helen Lester, illustrated by Lynn Munsinger. Poor Wadney Wat. His real name was Rodney Rat, but he couldn't pronounce his R's. To make matters worse, he was a rodent. A wodent. "What's your name, Wadney?" asked the other rodents. "Wadney Wat," whispered Wadney. "What's another name for bunny?" they asked knowingly. "Wabbit," he mumbled. "And how does a train travel?" They winked at each other. "A twain twavels on twain twacks," Wadney replied miserably. All of this teasing day in and day out made Wadney the shyest rodent in his elementary school. His squeak could barely be heard in class. He gnawed lunch alone. And while the other rodents scurried and scooted about at recess, Wadney hid inside his jacket. Let's pause real quick to talk about what we know about our main character, Wadney Wat. I want you to pause the video and either think about, write it down, or talk to your grown-up about what we know about Wadney Wat so far. Press play when you're ready. Okay, so here's what I know about Wadney Wat so far. Wadney Wat has trouble saying words with R. Because of this, his classmates do tease him and they laugh at him. Because the classmates tease him, Wadney feels shy, he eats alone, and he hides in his jacket at recess. Okay, so now I'd like for you to pause the video again and think or talk about a time when you felt teased, or maybe you were feeling shy and wanted to hide, or maybe a time when you felt lonely. So talk about that with your grown-up or write it down and then press play when you're ready to continue. Okay, I think that all of us probably can think of a time when we felt teased or shy or alone. So pretty much all of us can really relate to how Wadney Wat feels. That means we know how he feels. It doesn't feel good, does it? Okay, let's continue with the story. Then one day, as the rodents were taking turns doing wheelies, a new rodent, a very large rodent, barged into the classroom and announced, "My name is Camilla Capybara. I'm bigger than any of you, I'm meaner than any of you, and I'm smarter than any of you." Then she added, "So there." With that, she accidentally, on purpose, elbowed an ear, bumped two noses, stepped on three tails, and lay down on one desk. Fur prickled in fear through the classroom. She sure was bigger than any of them. She sure looked meaner than any of them. Was she smarter than any of them? "What's 2 plus 2? Asked Miss Fuzzleworth. "4, shouted Camilla Capybara, without even bothering to raise her paw. "And furthermore, 4 plus 4 is 8, 8 plus 8 is 16, and 243 plus 125 is 368. Later, when Miss Fuzzleworth asked, "What's the capital of—" Camilla interrupted, "New York, Albany, population 295,594. And during science, in answer to the question, "What part of a plant is below ground?" Camilla Capybara danced on her desk and sang, "Root, root, rooty toot toot." Yup, thought all of the other rodents, she's smarter than we are too. They felt very, very uncomfortable. Every afternoon, just before the final recess, Miss Fuzzleworth drew a name from her hat to see who would be the leader for their favorite game, Simon Says. She scrunched her eyes closed and jiggled the hat. Would it be Harry Hamster, Minnie Feet Mouse? Grizzle Frizz Guinea Pig? Could it be big, mean, smart Camilla Capybara? Miss Fuzzleworth's paw reached in and pulled out the name of Wadney Wat. The bell rang. There was a wild scurry for the door, and Camilla Capybara was the first on the playground, having trampled the others in her path. Wadney, she looked especially scary. What would she do when she heard him speak? Breathe capybara breath in his face? Or tie him up by his own tail? Or even pounce on him? I'd like for you to stop the video to think about or talk about a time when you felt like Rodney Rat is feeling right now. On the last page, it said that he's really nervous about leading recess, and he's imagining all of these really scary things that Camilla might do. Can you think of a time when you were really nervous to do something? Pause the video, talk about that, and then press play when you're ready to continue. Okay, so I think a lot of us probably can relate to Rodney, and that we have had it. There have been times when we were really nervous about what was going to happen next. So we really can relate to Rodney Rat right now, can't we? Let's see what happens next in the story. The tiny, trembling leader of the game stood before the eager players, his head well inside his jacket, and squeaked, "Wadney says, read the sign." While the other rodents read PS 142 Elementary School for Rodents, Camilla began pulling up weeds around the sign and wildly flinging them hither and yon till she was clear up to her teeth in dirt. The other rodents began to smile. "Wadney says, wrap your paws around your head." He peeked a little peek out of his jacket and saw, whap, whap, whappity, slappity, whap. Camilla was whapping her paws around her head so hard she became dizzy, gave herself a headache, and had to sit down. The other rodents couldn't help giggling. "Wadney says, play Wing Around the Wosy." Camilla put out her arms like wings and made an airplane noise. No. But where was the wosy? What was a wosy? By now, Wadney's voice was stronger and his head was entirely out of his jacket. "Wake the leaves." Nobody moved. "Wadney says, wake the leaves." While Harry, Minniefeet, and Grizzlefrizz and the others busied themselves raking, Camilla Capybara grabbed one leaf. "Wake up!" she yelled. She snatched another. "Come on, you, up, up, up!" And another, "Rise and shine!" And another, "Boo!" By now, all the other rodents were squealing with laughter, all but Camilla, who frowned. Stupid leaves, they won't wake up. And why was everyone laughing at her? Such bullies. In a voice so strong he had to hold his own ears, Wadney called, "Wadney says go west." The rodents collapsed in a happy heap for a rest. Go west. Camilla Capybara, feeling very smart that she could tell directions by the sun, said, "All right, I shall go west." And then she added, "So there." West she stomped. Forever. She was gone. And from that day on, the pupils of PS 142 Elementary School for Rodents never teased Wadney again. He was their hero. "Hooray for Wadney Wat," they cried. "Woot woot, wooty toot toot." What a great ending. Wadney, in the end, is the hero, and everybody is celebrating him, and he feels really good about himself. So I'm wondering, have you ever felt really proud of yourself and felt like everyone around you was encouraging you and impressed? Pause the video, think about that, and then press play when you're ready to continue. Okay, boys and girls, that is the end of Station 2. It is now time for you to move on to Station 3.